Welcome in. I'm just getting everything set up here on my laptop. And then okay. Welcome in, everybody. I'm just getting set up on my laptop. We'll get started with the garden tour here in just a second. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I hope everybody's doing well. Let's see. Home. It's so weird when you go to live stream and you're like, how do I get to my own channel again? Sorry I'm not using the wireless mics tonight. It appears that I have lost one and the other one was not charged. So we'll try those again next stream. Hopefully the audio is okay. If it's not, let me know and I'll just use the internal mic with the phone. That's fine too. All right. And where's my live? Here we go. And now we'll turn this sound all the way down. There we go. All right. Hi, is it Aloe? Did I say that right? Or did I butcher that? There's lots new in the garden I'm going to show you guys. Sadly, not all of it is great. Alright, so we got that. Alright. Okie dokie, I'm just gonna, hopefully you guys can hear the birds through this mic because sometimes they get pretty amazing sounding either early in the morning or late in the evening like this around sunset. It's so beautiful. Alright, I'm just going to disconnect my headphones for a second and grab my other chair, laptop. So let's go on a garden tour and see what's growing. Turn you guys around here. It has been a rough week for myself trying to garden here in Florida. We've really been battling a lot of pests, so I'll show you guys the good, the bad, and the ugly. But starting in here, we've got cantaloupe seeds planted in here. Only one germinated and it died very quickly afterwards, so I'm going to go ahead and replant those probably tonight. In here I have Everglades tomatoes that have finally germinated. You guys, that was my third try. I was about ready to give up on that entire packet of seeds. I even tried germinating some inside like that wet paper towel inside a baggie method. If any of you guys ever did that in school with like radish seeds or anything, And if that didn't germinate, which it did not, then I was going to throw the packet of seeds away and just buy some plants locally, but some of those ended up germinating. So this is our Big Bertha bell pepper. I would like to move her back outside. We moved her outside before, and then she was not doing well out there. She was literally wilting in the heat, like, I'm an inside girl. So we moved her back in. And I'd like to move her back outside, but right now the pests are so bad that until I get those under control, I'm not going to do that and let them decimate another plant. In these containers, I forget which kind of yellow squash, some kind of yellow squash. Okay, so these are my crookneck yellow squashes, so the ones that, oh, what is on that? I don't know what that is. So the ones that kind of have like that little curved neck. I also do have a straight neck squash out here that we moved out. So I moved some things around. There's not as much right here in this area because I actually have some plans for this area that I'll tell you about very shortly after we're done with our garden tour. But these are my strawberry plants. If you guys have watched before and recall, these are June-bearing strawberry plants, but here in Florida, our strawberry season is actually much, much earlier. So my hope was to keep these alive long enough to have runners, and so that I have new plants for, the upcoming season. And I've got several runners coming off here, so it is now time for me to get some soil pots and put those down here. The one in the garden, in the raised bed, I think might have some runners as well. So I'm super happy about that. By planting some new plants, we'll kind of keep, because yes, these should grow back if I overwinter them, but it's also good to have some new plants starting each year. They would naturally sow themselves in the soil like that if we had them planted in ground or in a large bed. But because they're in containers, I'll actually need to put another pot of soil next to them so that they can root. These are my garlic, and despite the fact that they're flopped over, they're actually doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing. They look quite good, actually. Let's see. So over here, these are the tomato plants that started out as the experiment. If you guys have been following me from the beginning, or if you've gone back and watched some of my previous videos, when I started my gardening journey, I started with what I had, which was almost nothing, but I had a couple slices of tomatoes and I had a little bit of leftover potting soil. I planted those, had like over 50 tomato plants germinate. These were doing fantastic, and I actually had really high hopes for this one to maybe actually bear us some fruit. Sadly, these are being wiped out by the leaf miner larvae. If you see these white squiggly lines here, this is what is attacking most of my plants. You can see it down there. I do have some new, healthy looking growth here. So I'm going to kind of wait and see. I'm going to watch this. I had a third plant that I was growing as well, and I pulled that one because it was not only getting eaten by leaf larvae, but some leaf miner larvae rather, but something else as well. And it was just looking so sad and sick. So I pulled that one. These ones I'll just kind of watch and wait and see how they do. Over here is our little hot pepper raised bed container. These are being eaten by an entirely different kind of pest. Show you some of these leaves here. They have gotten quite ravaged. There's holes throughout. Funnily enough, the leaf miner larvae has been leaving these alone, so maybe it's something about these particular plants that they don't like. But in turn, we've got obviously some kind of chewing insects and possibly several varieties. I did spray everything down with neem oil, a diluted neem oil and gentle soap spray for the leaf miner larvae. The hot peppers will actually require a different kind of treatment. And I simply just don't have the funds for it yet, but I have it sitting in my Amazon cart for when I do get paid. I'm going to put down some food grade diatomaceous earth and a net over this to not, well, these are going to get transplanted, but a net over the plants. So the diatomaceous earth will treat anything that is in the soil. It is still safe to use for at-home organic gardeners, and then the net will go over them to prevent anything else from getting into the containers and continuing to eat them. So hopefully that twofold strategy helps. I'm also looking at getting some beneficial nematodes. So those help with like over 200 different kind of pests, and you just kind of spray them on. Those are also considered natural and organic for at-home gardeners. So hopefully all of those things will help. These are our bush bean plants. These are red and black bush beans. They are huge, and they are also needing to be transplanted. So as soon as I get some more soil, we'll be transplanting them into that. These are my sweet potato vines. These are going absolutely nuts, y'all. Like I've got vines trailing everywhere. They're wrapping around the tree. They did actually wrap themselves onto the green bean trellises. I had to kind of wind them off there. I don't want them suffocating out the green beans, but they are growing like gangbusters. So hopefully we'll have a nice sweet potato harvest once those are ready. These are our green pole beans. I have got 3 plants in the pot here. Then I've got 2 in this side one, and only 1 germinated in this one. And then I just did a very simple twine trellis that they can climb up. And as you can see, they are doing exactly that. So I'm excited about those. This is our indeterminate tomato plant, which is really doing well. Despite the fact that I had topped her, she is now again taller than me. We are growing. We've got tomato there. We've got a nice little cluster down here, and she's got new growth with, it's kind of hard to show you guys, but she does have new growth up here. That's gonna be additional tomatoes, and lots of buds. There's buds there. They're kind of all over. So I am excited. We're actually growing some tomatoes, so that's nice. It's not just greenery. This is our red bell pepper plant. She's doing fantastic. She is starting to grow peppers. They're just super tiny yet. Let me see if I can show you. This is like a start of a little pepper. So exciting. We have several of those in here. This is our zucchini plants. We have 2 of them in here. There are a number of squash blossoms that it's been putting out every day. Sadly, the only squash blossoms we have at this point are male, and it is the female blossoms that actually produce the fruit. You will know the males because they actually have these straight stems. The females will actually have more of a curved stem, and you will actually see the fruit kind of bulging behind here. And as long as those get pollinated by male flowers, which you can do by hand, you can just kind of bend the male over to the female and make sure you get some pollen in there. That's how they grow fruit. So I'm kind of hoping some of these down here, some of these ones that are popping up have like more curved stems. So I am hopeful that those, that we've got some female flowers coming in. It is very typical for zucchinis to have their male flowers pollinate or open first, and then some females follow. Hopefully, if you're lucky, you get both males and females at the same time so that you can actually get some produce. But as you can see, we've got the leaf miner larvae damage on these leaves as well. So, and some of this I'm thinking might actually be like over here, this little crispy portion might be from the neem oil treatment, but it was a necessary evil. This is our determinant. Oh gosh, I forget what it's called again. Hang on, let me pull the tag here. This is our Bush Goliath. It's a hybrid tomato. And we've got some blossoms on here. I've had blossoms before, and so far they've just fallen off. This plant was doing really well, and I was expecting it to produce, and it got hit really hard with that leaf miner larvae early on. I did go through and prune the leaves off initially, and it looked like it was recovering well. And still, we've got a lot of good new growth up here, but it does, it still has damaged leaves, and I think it's trying hard to rebound after that pruning, but I'm not sure if she'll actually produce flowers or not, or tomatoes or not. We'll see. These are our Seminole pumpkins. As you can see, they're doing okay. They do have various spots with various things on them, as outdoor plants will. These are, oh gosh, now I have to remember what I planted where. I think these are our straight neck yellow squashes that are down here. I just planted 2 things in the bed last night, and this was one of them. And sadly, if you see, the leaf miner larvae is already all over these, and they've been in the ground for like literally 24 hours. We've got tons of marigolds coming up here along the edges of the bed. They're coming up in the back there as well. We've got zinnias coming up in the back. We've got all kinds of herbs popping up. We've got cilantro. We've got sage. These are our microgreens. Uh-oh. Our stream is paused. Let me come back towards the house. Come back in here and sit for a minute, see if it'll reconnect. There we go. Okay. Just gonna sit for a minute and allow this to cool off. Sometimes if the phone gets overheated, the stream will pause. Also, when I walk further away and continue moving away from the Wi-Fi, it will pause then. So I just put the phone back into the cooler, and I'll kind of sit here for a minute to talk to you guys from here. We've got tons of herbs popping up. Those microgreens, they probably don't look so great right now. That's simply because I harvested a bunch of them last night or the night before to put on our dinner. But all right, let's try to see if we can take the phone back out on the cooler. There we go. Okay. So, I've still got a good amount to show you. Not a whole bunch, but all right. What we have growing here, we have some thyme coming up. There's lots of plants. I will have to thin those because there's tons. This right here is sage. This is cilantro. You can see some of the true leaves actually coming out. This is Genovese basil. These are our microgreens. Here we've got tiny little parsleys coming up, so that's good. I did have tiny little oregano seedlings sprouting up here, but when I planted these yesterday, I put just a tiny smattering of dirt over those, so we'll be waiting for those to pop up again through the soil, but they are there underneath. I've got basically a border of marigolds going all the way around, and then some zinnias in the back. Down here, these are super tiny. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see these tiny little seedlings. Those are cosmos. So I planted those just in the ground here and also over here, mostly for beauty and to help bring more pollinators into the garden. Oh, look, I missed this whole cluster of blossoms on the big determinate tomato plant earlier. So that's cool. Hopefully we get some tomatoes out of that. Back here, I think this is new this week, or maybe I just planted it on Sunday last week, something like that. But this is our wildflower bed. I scattered a bunch of wildflower seeds, and it's got tons of seedlings popping up. I will say it has been trampled numerous times by the dogs. So that's going to affect growth. They've got like their giant hoof prints in here. But we do still have a lot of seedlings coming up, so that's good. And again, that's primarily to bring pollinators in, which we need as these plants have blossoms. Right here, I've got a little patch of morning glories. They are growing really, really well. I think they're like, I don't know, 10 days old since I planted the seedlings, maybe 2 weeks. But it's definitely not been longer than that. So they're doing fantastic. And the plan is to put a trellis up here that leans against the house and just let them kind of climb up because those are vining plants. All right, I got to sit down because I'm feeling very passy-outy. I was feeling kind of short of breath out there. I do have like an ice vest on to help keep me cool, but it's just not enough in this heat. It's been high 80s each day, and well, that's a really bad angle. Let's put this back here. It's been high 80s each day, and then in a few days it's going to be in the 90s on the daily here in Florida. And I do not do well with heat. I did try to put long sleeves on tonight, and I have my ice vest over it, only because I have been really getting eaten up by the bugs. So, I made sure to I've got compression socks on to help with my pots. I've got long leggings over that. I've got my thin layer to cover my arms. I put bug spray on top of that. My ice vest and just this to keep the sweat out of my face, but it's been stupid hot. I don't always handle this heat well, so I think I'm going to have to start kind of, if my body can handle it, maybe getting up super early in the morning, right around sunrise, to kind of water everything, tend to it. My plan was to go around and water everything tonight while I was on the live stream with you guys, but I think between the signal cutting out while I'm in the yard and just how hot and humid it is out there, I'm going to still have to wait on that. I'll probably take my little fan out here with me when I do go out, and I'm probably going to have to take these long sleeves off, even though I want to stay covered from the bugs, just because your girl can't handle the heat. It's definitely time to get out of the kitchen, right? That's what they say. If you can't handle the heat, get out of the kitchen. Things that I have plans for, as I mentioned, I am going to replant cantaloupe because I think the seeds that are in there just didn't do well. These are Hale's Best Jumbo Cantaloupe. So I'm going to plant those, and then I'm also going to plant some sunflower seeds. These are Mammoth Russian sunflower seeds, and their heads can get more than a foot across, but they only get about 2.5 feet tall to like under 3 feet. But my thought was, I'll show you where I want to put those. So we've got this air conditioning unit right outside the patio, and my thought was to kind of plant them in between the patio and the air conditioning unit, just so that it's kind of like a natural barrier. I'd rather stare at beautiful sunflowers than an air conditioning unit. So my initial thought was that I might get like some kind of planter or a trellis or something, but those are pricey, and I've got sunflower seeds here, and these were in the 3 for $1.50. So if I get some of those sprouting, hey, that's a natural cover for 50 cents, so I'll take that any day. Plus, I'm sure the birds would really enjoy eating some of those. So let's talk about what hasn't gone well, because there was a lot that I actually took down over the past couple days. Like I said, I pulled the one tomato plant that was just looking really sad. That was in a grow bag. So took that down. My ginger that I had planted in a container, I took that down. It looks like it just rotted, and I likely overwatered it. I did that because it naturally grows in Asia where the humidity is high, there's a lot of rain and things like that. So I thought, why not give it the conditions that it naturally grows in? But apparently that was not correct. So apparently it's used to like the high humidity and the high heat, but where it grows naturally, the type of soil and where it grows, I guess it's kept pretty drained. So I'll give that a shot again. We'll just buy some grocery store ginger whenever I can go in person, and actually take a look at that. That's a little tough for me to do most days, but I'll pick a day where it looks like I should be able to do that and go. Let's see. I forget. I planted something else out there literally last night, and I see it. Oh, sugar baby watermelons. I have sugar baby watermelon seedlings planted in the raised bed now. They were something else that I had started here in the lanai. I think what I've been planting in a lot. So I told you guys, like, our community doesn't recycle. So I've been finding other uses for a lot of containers, and then it's one less thing that I don't have to buy. So for starting seedlings that will grow pretty quickly, I've been using containers like these. These are like the 32-ounce yogurt containers. Just drill some holes in the bottom. And it looks like I was growing my watermelon on there. Looks like I forgot to, oh no, I did date it. So I started those on 5/23. So it's been about 2 weeks for those, and they were big enough to plant outside. They were growing up out of here and kind of starting to almost flop over. So I got those in the ground and kind of, hilled them up so that they had more support. And the squash that I showed you guys out there was indeed the straight neck squash. That got planted 5/29, so less than 2 weeks, and it was ready to go in the garden. I'm basically on hold right now, I think, until I can get these pests under control. I am leery to put Big Bertha, the pepper plant, back out there. I've got the crookneck yellow squashes that really should probably go out there, but I'm not going to do that right now. I'm probably just going to put... Sorry about the dogs, guys. Sorry, I can't think when they're barking, so hang on. Okay, maybe they'll be quiet now. I will probably stake them up, just to give them a little bit more support. Sometimes all I do is use, these are rather long, like kebab sticks almost. They call them jumbo bamboo skewers. But they're a foot long, so that'll help kind of hold those up, and I'll just tie them up with string. Funny thing this past week, if you guys remember, I had one of the things I did at the beginning of my gardening journey was plant some pieces of potato that had eyes on them, just to see, if I could get any potato plants to grow. And I did. They were in a 10-gallon grow bag, and they sprouted so much foliage. It was gorgeous. It was doing fantastic. I was so excited for potato harvest. And somebody actually stole them off of our front porch, which was really disappointing. I was so devastated about that. Like, it was one of my earliest gardening projects, and it was nice to have some plants out front as well. And their foliage is actually quite pretty. Well, it turns out this week I discovered, let me flip you around here. So if you notice, Big Bertha's got a buddy that's growing with her. Hang on, let me try to get my phone strapped back in here. There we go. And we weren't sure what it was. And I looked it up like a week ago, less than a week ago. And it's a potato plant. So we now have a volunteer potato in with Big Bertha, the pepper plant. I have no idea how it got there. I think, Buggy, the rogue tater. I literally have no idea. I don't know, because potatoes don't grow from like seeds necessarily that could be scattered around by birds. They have to grow like off of a potato, like, or at least a chunk of potato that has an eye on it. Yes, she did go out back for a little bit, like a few days. But my potato plants were out front. So I literally have no idea how that happened, and I don't even care if it grows any potatoes. To me, it was just like a little sign. I don't know, call it God, call it karma, like whatever. Just here's a little gift for you because your potatoes were stolen. And it made me, it put a smile on my face. And then we've got some volunteer plants coming up outside of, our containers and the raised bed gardening as well. I've got several bean plants coming up. I don't know if they're green beans. I don't know if they're some of the red or black bush beans. But apparently the wind, the birds, the squirrels, something is relocating some things and moving them around. And I thought it was quite amusing. So I'm letting those just go wherever they are in the dirt because they're surviving so far. So, but those were things that kind of made me chuckle this week. So I was talking earlier and said that I would kind of tell you some thoughts for what I wanted to do outside here. So we've got a couple pine trees outside of here. And I thought this area in between that I've mostly kind of cleared out. Let me see. Am I still zoomed in? I guess not. I thought that would be a nice space for like some seating, some Edison lights kind of strung between the trees. I don't know what kind of seating yet. I don't know if it'll be like a dining table or Adirondack chairs, or if I can find a good deal on like a used like garden sectional or something. But I thought just another space out there to kind of expand our living space and actually be able to be out in the garden on the days that, the weather's tolerable, and just be surrounded by plants, and for us to be able to hang out, with neighbors or whoever wants to come, share the space. Initially, I really was leaning towards a dining table just because I think that'd be a nice space to be able to have dinners with more people when the weather is nice. But we'll see. I also want to think about how often the space is going to be used, and, if we put a big dining table in, are we actually even going to use it? We'll see. And then the plan is just for more raised beds and most likely mulch covering the ground in between the raised beds. I've got things sitting in my Amazon cart that I'm excited to buy. I've got like a solar bird bath, a solar bird feeder, and things like that. Little watering stations for the bees and butterflies, just to really try to encourage, more of that stuff to coming closer. We really do enjoy the sounds of the birds, and we see some on occasion, but it would be nice to actually get to identify more of them and get to see more of them. So, and again, really just something to expand our existing living space. So those are the rough plans, but again, for the immediate future, I really just want to get these pests under control before I start putting in too much new stuff, because I don't want to put new stuff out there and all the time and effort and all that, and then just have it be demolished right away again. So, yep, that's it. Normally I do a second garden tour during my streams. I don't think I'm going to do that tonight because I really was having trouble with standing and some shortness of breath out there, as well as the actual stream connectivity. I'm sure when I watch this back, it's going to have issues with that, so I'm so sorry about that. As I mentioned, I will do the wireless mics next time. I'm not sure if there's been any audio issues or not, but hopefully it's been stable enough that you can understand me. But yeah, I'm feeling kind of fatigued, so I'm just going to sit here and chill. But if anybody has questions or wants to know more about what's going on, or wants to tell me about what they've got growing or what their plans are, I'll be here for a little bit. We might do like a little bit shorter of a stream tonight, maybe 45 minutes or so. Or if it's super quiet, maybe we'll even end it sooner. But yeah, I think sitting down in the shade with my fan and my ice packs is just the right move for me right now. And I will probably just go out and water when the stream is done so that I don't have to try to stand and talk at the same time. And then I might go ahead and put those sunflower seeds in. I'm not as terribly worried about those. Number one, they're further away from the other plants that do have the leaf miner larvae. And I don't know, for whatever reason, like I'm not as worried about the sunflowers as I am against things that I expect to give us food and a harvest, if that makes sense. The sunflowers are primarily just for pretty and maybe for feeding the birds, and I don't honestly even know if pollinators like them or not. But yeah, I'm excited for some of the flowers to start coming up. I think a lot of this gardening the first year is putting a lot of, I don't know if infrastructure is the right word, but if you kind of get that idea, we didn't have anything growing back here other than some super sparse, ugly grass and weeds, which, again, they're really not weeds. We just picked and choose, what we're going to call weeds, but whatever. There wasn't anything at all for pollinators to feed off of. So, when I think about even if things do blossom, a lot of plants propagate and bloom because of pollinators. And if you don't have those pollinators coming to your garden, your plants ultimately aren't going to do that well. So although it's disappointing if I don't really get a huge harvest off of any one thing this year, there's a lot of lessons I learned. I am learning, about natural and organic forms of pest control. I am learning it's not about perfection, it's about the journey and learning to adapt. I'm looking into more permaculture ideas. So rather just having things in containers, I am also looking at nurturing the natural soil that we have here, with the little wildflower garden and planting morning glories and sunflowers just in the ground. The more things that we can actually plant and have succeed, the more it will nourish the soil, and we will maybe over time be able to create healthy soil that we can actually grow in. Because right now our soil is very sandy, particularly back here. It is full of roots everywhere, some of it from the trees, so that's fine and that's good. But others, from this grass that we have all the crazy rhizomes and things like that. So working in any of this soil is not pleasant. It's, the soil itself is not nutrient rich. So eventually getting, some more native plants in here. And even as those plants break down, their roots are full of nitrogen, so that feeds and nourishes the soil. And even, the decaying matter as that breaks down, it provides shade, it provides moisture for those decaying leaves and stems and things provide all kinds of nourishment for the soil. So any of the plants that have the leaf miner larvae damage on them, I do, if I prune or trim them up, I do actually discard those. Those do not go into our compost because we're not trying to nourish and grow more leaf larvae. We want that compost to be healthy so that when we plant new plants in it, they can actually flourish. I do need to do some work with my compost. I did dump a bunch of scraps into it yesterday and it was full of flies. So I need to turn it and I need to add some more brown material into it. Our one neighbor did ask me, he had no idea I had compost going just over here. And he's like, does it smell? And I was like, do you smell it? So honestly, it really doesn't if you do it right. I'm sure if you stuck your face all up in there, yes, it would have some odor. There is decaying matter after all. but really it's not a huge odor, if you're doing it correctly. I've also seen some really nice used composters on Facebook Marketplace that maybe it's something I'll invest in. But for right now, I've got my 5-gallon buckets and they're working fine. I have 2 of them. On the wildflower patch that we put in ground, I actually... I was going to till the soil and add a bunch of amendments and try to just grow in there. And as I was telling you, it was so full of roots, you guys. And I just couldn't with all of it. It is very hard for me to work in this soil and this heat and everything. So what we ended up doing is laying down a thick layer of cardboard over the existing soil and wetting that down. And then I used my compost to lay on top of that, and then did some of my... homemade potting mix on top of that, and then scattered the seeds across it, and they're germinating fantastically. So that compost is now feeding those wildflowers that are growing. And basically in my compost, I've got 2 buckets. I have one that was like the more finished compost and ready to go on top of things. So that got spread across there. And then I have my more like in progress one. So that would be a bucket that we're still adding things to. So a lot of our veggie and fruit scraps go in there. Some eggshells, some of our coffee grounds, and even the coffee filters, because we buy unbleached coffee filters. So those are fine to go in there every now and again. And the coffee actually does a lot for odor control, which is great. Another thing that I really appreciate is that with our garden space being in between these existing Florida pine trees, is they're dropping their needles all the time, which is natural mulch, which is amazing. And if and when we do decide to grow blueberry bushes, because I would like to, they actually love acidic soil, and pine bark and pine mulch are excellent for them. So we've got a free source right here. Some of our nicer gated neighborhoods here in Florida that, I've been to either because of work or visiting or things like that, their HOAs actually mulch all around with like the pine needles for like all the out front landscaping. So we've got a free source right here, and we don't need to pay the hoity-toity HOA prices for that. So that's just a gift from nature, which is great. Let's see. What else? You still there, Buggy? Did we talk about any other plans that I'm not remembering right now? Where's my drink? I need to hydrate. I'm sure you heard that, but I am feeling... It could just be allergies. I have year-round indoor and outdoor allergies. But I am definitely feeling like nasally and stuffy and sinus congested today. So it could have something to do with the fatigue as well. Yeah, I was trying to think of other things we talked about, but I think that was about it. All right, guys, I would love to take you on a second garden tour tonight for people that are just coming in. But like I said, just between the heat and the humidity and the issues I'm having with standing and talking while walking is not great. So I think I'm going to go ahead and end the stream there. If you have watched, commented, or follow my channel, I just want to thank you so much. I know that you could choose to watch or listen to anything, and I appreciate any time you can give to this channel. It really does help so much, and I know that we also have a lot of people that watch on the back end after the video posted, so I want to thank you as well. Please, if you can take a minute to like my channel, subscribe to it, share it out. Those are all much appreciated. You can also leave any comments or questions on that stream once it posts on YouTube. I will plan to be back. I actually don't have any content filled for shorts this week, but I am hoping to be back Monday, Wednesday, Friday with shorts. They usually air at 7 p.m. So stay tuned. Hopefully maybe tomorrow I'll be able to film some content for those and get those posted. So thank you so much. I hope you all have a great evening or morning or afternoon, whatever it is, wherever you are. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.